All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Saturday, everyone. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, author, and educator, and this is day 5 of the Old Head versus Young Head series. And if you have been with me all week, you have seen son number, thank you, baby, come on in. This is child number 7, but go ahead. Say hi to your sister.
Hi, KL.
How are you limping?
Hi.
All right, you have seen child number 4, child number 3 on Monday, child number 6 on Tuesday, child number 4 on Wednesday, child number 1 on Thursday. We took a break yesterday, and now I am back with child number 2, but child number 2 is my oldest daughter. And I am happy to be on with her. I am happy that she said yes to come and talk to me. And a lot of you have asked me, we see the boys, where's your daughter? So here she is, and I'm going to introduce you to her. And I'm going to say this, I am so happy that she said yes. I'm so happy that she's here. I'm so happy that we get a chance to talk. And we're going to allow you to sit in as we catch up, as she fills me in on what's going on with her. She's going to tell you everything that she's doing business-wise. I think she's got some other things she's going to share with you as well. So you buckle up and listen and hear, because I'm hoping that somebody watching tonight will gain something that can maybe help them. And if you need some help or whatever, you reach out. They're already in the chat room. Now, Tiff takes care of the chat. They're already in there talking. So let me just turn this down so they're in there waiting on you. All right, so allow me to do this formal introduction. This lovely lady right here is Kierra Crystal Marie Brown.
Hey.
The person has 4 names. Yes, she got 4. She was that. Kierra Crystal Marie Brown. She is my oldest daughter, child number 2. So, darling, go ahead and you take it from there. Reintroduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about you, and let's learn something about you tonight.
Well, hi everyone. Like my father said, I am Kierra Crystal Marie Brown. I didn't know we were gonna shout out governments, full governments, like that.
Yes, now they can go look you up. Yeah.
Woo! Jeez. If I try to hide from somebody, I'm found. So thank you for that.
You're not a witness protection. I didn't break.
How
any
you know?
You wouldn't have came on Zoom. You wouldn't have came on Zoom if you was a witness protection. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm 31. I'm a mama, Mamiana. I have a beautiful 2-year-old son who I am absolutely crazy about. Yeah, I have started a new business venture, which we'll talk more a little bit later. I'm fairly new to it, but I'm really excited to share. I am a assistant manager for American Eagle. I have been with them for about 1 year and 6 months. I love it. I think it's like one of the best things I kind of like did for myself. Yeah. And overall, it's just been an adventure. This is like a new adventure. I'm more like a private person. I don't really like put myself out there. So this is kind of something that's new for me too. So, I know my dad is a social media person, has his counseling and his, I guess you and Tiffany do your, what is it? I don't know the name of it, the title. I'm sorry.
The publishing company?
Yeah, you have a lot going on.
I try.
Like,
I try.
It's like everywhere. Marketing. It's like everywhere.
I'm working on it. I got to stay busy. It keeps me young. But thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And what is, okay, so you are era_B on Instagram.
Period. I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I have seen all the lovely pictures. And so I see you doing your thing. Now, some folks may not realize that. They may just take the fact that we laugh and chuckle like we do this all the time, but we don't talk as much as we should. And we got that. But I think the beautiful thing is when we do talk and when we have talks, we always seem to have one accord, and we seem the same things. At one point you thought you was the female me, but it's okay. I understand. You thought you was as smooth as I was, but it's okay. It's all right. You became smooth in your own right, but it's all right. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I have to say that I'm super proud of you, and I also want to say that, I have watched you do your thing, and I am going to ask you about my grandson, because I have watched you put the pictures up, and I have seen you just grow into an incredible young lady. So first and foremost, I want to say that I'm super proud of you and that I thank you so much for being on with me. And I want to say publicly, and I told you I was going to do this, I want to apologize for anything that I may have done that might have made anything difficult for you. And we're not going to rehash all that. You and I have already said we're not going to do all of that. We're going to go forward. But I, as a father, I want to say I apologize because that I'm older now. There's just things I understand that I could not understand before. So the beautiful thing for me, and anybody watching knows that I said, because of what I saw happen with DMX, and when I saw the way people were speaking about him, I wondered about his children. I know he was a media superstar, but I started thinking, you saw a clip of his kids on Alana Van Zant, but how do the kids really feel? So I said, you know what? I want to have a conversation with my children now while I'm here. So that's why, and I saved you for last because as the female, you see things just differently than the boys. So tell me about this wonderful grandson of mine, who I've saw the pictures. And when all this COVID thing settles down and all this other stuff, I do plan on putting you and your little sister together. Look, she keeps asking about you. And so tell me a little bit about what that has been like becoming a mom now. You're a mom now. Wow.
Yeah. It's funny that you asked me that because it's like someone else. I was recently talking to someone and they asked me like, so Kierra, like, how is it being like a for real parent? And I think it's like, it's amazing. It's sorry, I'm getting like notifications. It's just like notifications. It's just like, it's one of those things that I kind of like thought about for a while. And, you know, I thought like, would I be able to do it? Like, would I be able, like, would I know how to do it? Would I, you know, like, it's a lot of questions that you think about as a young woman. Like, you know, am I still going to be able to have fun? Am I still going to be able to be myself? And what's going to change about me? And I think having Grayson was one of the, I can't even express the, it's not even, it's like a sense of joy. It's a sense of accomplishment because just looking at him, it lets me know that like, I am a good person. I do have a great, I am warm. I am loving. I am caring. I am all of those things that for a point in my life that I felt like I wasn't.
Gotcha.
And, you know, yeah, it's just been like the best ride ever, like the best adventure ever. Like Grayson, for those who know him, I call him Doodle Butt. I know. Don't laugh at my name, y'all. In the comments, I know.
Listen, that's mommy's prerogative. Mommy can call him whatever you want. That's no problem.
That's my doodle. That's my doodle. But I think it has its challenges. You know, because it's like I'm a full-time manager. I have a full-time job, and now I just picked up, you know, a new career. So it's like it's a lot. It's very challenging, but I can say the outcome is what I'm doing it for his future. And it's like, if I have to work an extra hour or work 40 plus hours or stay up late at night trying to do consults, you know, that's what I have to do because at the end of the day, you know, Grayson is counting on me to make his future the best future that I can make it. Given this climate of everything, I'm a little scared, more so scared than anything, because it's like, you know, I am raising a Black child and a Black boy. So having to, you know, get myself centered to be able to get him ready for the world is, you know, something I'm ready for. But, you know, I just have to make sure that, you know, I got 10 toes down and, you know, I'm planted to just make sure that he, you know, feels secure, you know, and things look good.
I love it. So how are you balancing multiple businesses, because you're going to work as well as working for yourself? So you struck out on in the entrepreneur plane, and you are working a full-time gig, and you have your son. So how are you balancing that and still finding time for yourself to be able to be yourself?
I think it really comes with sacrifices. I have to make a lot of sacrifices. Like, I don't really get to, sorry.
No, it's okay. Listen, this is the era where people gonna call.
Yeah, because I'm trying to see what people are saying on Facebook. And if you know me, I am not
Don't read the
a
comments. Do like I do. Read them later.
Facebook
Read them later
person.
because you'll drive yourself crazy trying to look at them. Don't
That's
bother.
what I said,
Just,
right? So I was like, you know
just,
what?
just focus
Forget
on
it.
us. Because if you look at it,
Yeah,
you're like,
like,
hey, I said hi. A bunch of people said hi. You can go back and say hello to
okay,
all of them.
I'll
Don't
look
worry
at it
about it.
later.
Come
Okay,
on.
thank y'all.
So you were saying
So
sacrifices. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
it's really a lot. So that's even better. So I don't, it's fine. It's really a lot of sacrifices because it's like, yeah, like I don't get to hang out. Like I don't get to hang out. I have to be very, strategic about who I date. I have to, deal with not being with him, for like a few days, or you know what I mean, just because like, mommy's trying to, it's the grind. Like I'm grinding right now. So it's like, I'm glad that he's still young because I gave myself a timeline. I'm like, when Grayson is 5, everything's got to be aligned. Like I can't, there's no excuses, 5 years old, because 5 years old to me is routine. It's like every day, familiarity. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I have to
no
make
doubt.
sure that he has, everything to make his beginning stages of his life functional. And I don't even, for my own stuff, like I could be transparent. Like I did for my younger part of my years, like I can say like I had someone to pick me up from school and drop me off, and breakfast in the, like all of those great things. So I just want to be able to give him the normalcy that I had.
Got,
So it's definitely like definite sacrifices, like for
got you.
real.
Got you. So, and that is big, simply because it's needed. And I was just sitting there doing the time in my head. I was like, you did all this with a pandemic now being a year going on. How was that? Now all of a sudden COVID hits come January, and he would have been a year, a little over a year. How did that change everything? Because we set plans into motion, but I think everybody's had to pivot and do something different simply because the world literally changed. What was
Out of
that like?
nowhere.
What was that like being a mother of a 1-year-old, a little over 1-year-old? What was that like when the pandemic hit? And then you're in New York where it was just last March and April was brutal. So what was that like as a single mom? Correct. I don't
Yeah,
want to send
as a
nobody.
single mom. Yep.
I don't want nobody
Mhm.
sending me no hate mail. Single mom.
Good.
I want to do like, what? Okay. So single
Hopefully they
mom.
can spell.
Single, not mad at that. Single mom with a 1-year-old in a pandemic. What was that like? Has it been like this past year with this looming large around you?
It was scary. I'm not gonna lie. For those that know me, I was obsessive. I was just a little bit borderline OCD, because it was just, it was the scariest thing. And funny thing is, in February of 2020, like I went away.
Okay.
It was, regular, not February 2020, February 2019. February 2019. I went to New Orleans, and when I came back, like maybe like the month after, like not a month after, maybe a few weeks after, I think I had COVID, to
Yeah,
be
Tiff and
quite
I said the
honest.
same
Like
thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it was so crazy because it was like, I felt like a very, heaviness on my chest, and I couldn't really breathe. And, it was a lot. And then Grayson actually started showing signs that
Mm-hmm.
he was sick also. He was like
In
coughing.
2019, I'm just going to make sure in
Yeah,
2019. So
2019.
he was less than a year old. So he's
Yes.
months now. You're
Mm-hmm.
sick, and then he got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
got
it
it,
was
got it, got it.
like, I was scary because I never felt like I wasn't able to take care of him. Like,
Got you.
feeling the symptoms of which I know now, because I didn't know that, I didn't know COVID was COVID then, but I know that it was now. Looking back at it, I'm like, whoa, it was kind of crazy. And, once things started to kind of like unfold, I'm like, okay, so I'm not going anywhere. I have no need to go anywhere. You're definitely not going anywhere. So in the house we're going to be. And, I was with grandma, I was living with my grandmother at the time. So I was super overprotective. Like, nobody, we're going to clean every day. There's no visitors. If I go outside, literally going outside was like battle gear, like making sure I had gloves, I had double face
Oh,
masks.
No
You know,
doubt.
I wore like the
Yeah.
grungiest clothes because I was, you know, I mean, my grandma had like, you know, diabetes and was OCPD. I'm not a doctor, but
She had O, yeah, she had some problems breathing. Yeah.
right. Not funny. Not
Yeah, well, I
funny.
mean, listen. She doesn't have it anymore. She's in heaven. But yes, she had
R.I.P. to the
yeah, to the
OG.
OG. Shout out to my moms and grandmas. There we go. But no, she had some breathing problems, but she had no heart problems. And I believe what affected her was COVID. So I'm with you there because it was
I listen, I listen, I took care of grandma. Okay. Like I was so serious. Like I was so overprotective because I'm just thinking like I
Mhm.
can't be around because I'm just my biggest thing was grandma and Grayson. And I'm like, I would be so like I would be disappointed in myself, but I would be more devastated if I was the reason that one of them got sick with this, you know, unbeknownst,
Say,
you know, this
say that
disease
again
that's
for the
floating
people in the
around.
back. Say it again. Say it again for the people in the back. Say
For
it again.
real. And because people are not, and to me, I was like, you know, that's like, of course, like, hey, I wasn't coming outside. I used to watch Governor Cuomo, like it was, you know, Sunday church
Mhm.
virtual, like, you
Mhm.
know, only because we needed to know what was going on, you know, and, you know, good shout out to Aunt Renee, like she literally was a soldier. Like, you know, she'd be like, hey, let's get a grocery list going. We'll write your stuff down. I'll pick you up at this time. We're going to go to this supermarket because this supermarket has less people. You know what I mean? Like we were really strategic about it. And, you know, thank God we got through it. And
Yeah.
then, you know, it just so happened like once we got to, you know, fast forward, you know, into June, I got called back to work and I was shocked. Like, you know, I had to deal with, you know, my you know my new I mind you I just got to this new store. Like my story was like this. Like I used to manage the Green Acres American Eagle location in Valley Stream. I
Mhm.
was there. I've worked there all through November, and then I got a promotion in February of 2020.
Mhm.
So I go over there, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, the weeks are everything's getting different. Like more people are talking about of COVID, and you know,
Yeah.
we're getting emails constantly every day, like new cleaning protocols. This is what we're going to be doing, and if you guys don't do that, you know what I mean. And I'm like, you know, from a manager's perspective, when you have a staff and you have a team, and mind you, I work with like Gen Z and millennials, so you know, the questions are just like, you know, what do we see on social media, Kierra? What do we
Yeah.
do? Oh my God.
Every YouTube conspiracy is.
Every like, are we Kierra? Are we gonna get sick? Kierra, what's gonna happen? Kierra, we closing the store? Kierra, do we have to come to work today? Kierra, can I use my sick time? I'm like, oh my God, guys, like I'm in it. Like these are my team. Like this is my team. So it's like having to keep a brave face for them, knowing that I'm, you know, I'm also thinking about my family and my son as well. And it's like, you know, that transition was a lot when you, I feel like because people think give retail a bad rap, like, oh, like it's just like people come in, they throw clothes on the floor. It's like, no, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes because, you know, there is a team that facilitates your services to give you what you need.
Yep.
And, you know, we had to see like our traffic decline.
Of course.
We had to see, you know, our manager running in and out. I got a conference call. We got a meeting. We got a meeting. And we're just sitting there like waiting for an answer, like what's going to happen. And when they decided to close the stores, like we had to call, you know, everyone and say, hey guys, you know, you can use your allotted time or whatever the case may be, but we're not opening. And then having to take a general call when you're, you know, one of your VPs from your company says, hey guys, you're going on furlough.
So now
We
you
don't
sit around
know.
and we don't know you come back and making money. So it's like, where's the bread
Yeah,
coming from
like
at this point?
the only thing was the furlough. The furlough was the blessing because it's like when things do start to get back together, you do have your job, you do have your pay, you have everything that you will be reinstated once we figure out what's going on.
Gotcha.
But it was very sad. Like
Gotcha.
this, like my VP was like crying on the phone. It was really emotional. Like it
No
was
one had
really, really
answers.
emotional.
No one
Yeah,
had
like
answers. No one had
nobody had
answers.
an answer.
And remember, some of those businesses that had to furlough folks off, some doors never opened up again.
Yes,
Some
a
never
lot.
came back. And so because of that, a lot of people, were under the expectations I'm going to come back to work, and then it didn't. So it's very difficult. But I'm glad. I want to pivot a little bit because I want to ask you something. What did you feel when I first reached out and said, I want to have this conversation? I'm gonna ask you some tough questions. I can't have you here and not ask you some tough questions. What did you, and be honest, I know you're going to be. What did you feel when I first reached out and said, come on, let's have this conversation?
As in with this platform or just
Right here.
Conversation in general?
Coming on and doing this here, because you and I had spoke before, and then, we've talked a couple of times and we've reconnected. So the lines of communication with you and I have been open, especially with grandma's passing.
Yeah.
But this was something out of the blue, unordinary. And so what did you think when it's like, okay, what? Live? What did you think and feel when I asked you about doing this right here?
I thought it was for vindication.
Whose vindication? Mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of things that we won't rehash, but you and I are very well aware.
Yeah.
And
those that know us personally,
if you know,
have an idea. But we're not going back down that road. But if you know us personally and you have any idea, yeah. But we had already agreed we're not going backwards, because a lot of that, even the stuff that was written in my book, was 11 years ago. So go ahead, please continue.
I should write a book, period. Okay. Dad. Now we stop. No, really for vindication. But then I had to think about it. And I was like, I guess you want to know where we are now, because a lot of stuff has changed. The world is, moving in a new algorithm, I'll say. And I guess it's kind of like you're a crisis specialist. So, charity starts at home. So you would want to kind of get your forefront situated before you can fully be at full capacity for your clients who are going to come aboard in the near future.
No doubt. So at least be able to speak to it, because you're 100% right. And my thing was, people have heard the story, and I talk about how many kids I have, and I talk about the circumstances that all my children have been placed in. But it's another thing to actually watch me have a conversation with you guys, because not a lot of counselors, therapists, consultants are going to do that, because they're ultra private anyway. Well, my thing is, I'm private to a degree. I'm not going to tell everything, but I believe, and it was the same way when I was in the classroom, the best way you reach somebody is by being transparent. And I've never shied away from any of my mistakes. Sometimes my attitude is taken the wrong way, because it's like, he don't care. No, I just don't react the way other people expect me to react. But it's not that I don't care. And you and I have talked, and I think the beautiful thing, like anything else, is when you reached out after grandma passed, my mother passed.
Yeah.
Was that you said something to me like, I didn't know how you were going to react on the phone. And you were like, you sound different. Well, I am different. And it wasn't just my mother passing, because I was prepared for that. Ever since I moved in 2016, when you move away and your mother is sick, you know that at any point you could get that call. Normally it comes late at night when you're sleeping, and you like, call it. And it just happened on a Thursday night, 10 something.
Yeah, I was gonna say about like 10.
And I was on live. And the crazy part is, forgot to turn the camera off. So everybody was on live, got to watch me go through me talking to Aunt Renee and our mother literally passing away at that moment. So when you reached out, no, and as I told Jonathan last night, and I know you've watched all of the episodes, I have always said, you leave the light on and the door open, because that's what Grandma Christie had taught me. And she'd always said, no matter what you've done, that doesn't change what can happen going forward. And if any of your children ever reach out and need you, you know what you got to do. And I understood that. And so when I asked, I had a feeling, I was like, I don't think they'll say no, but I don't know, because you're a mama now. and I'm a grandpop now, but I'm Jonathan has kids too. But I'm a grandpop, but it's like there's a lot of things that just we haven't had a chance to deal with. So again, I want to ask you this next question, and this is for the single moms who are out there who may have issues with their father as well. So it's a two-part question. I want you to tell the people watching you. What would you suggest to the mothers who are now dealing with their children, but may have some unsettled issues with their parents? And I'll say parent, not just father. I'm not going to place it just
because it could be the mom too.
It could be the mom too, exactly. So what would you say to that single mom who's now in your position? She's a mother now, younger, you're kind of in between because you're at that age where you're not considered young and you're not considered old. So what would you say to that? Well, I'm just saying, what would you say to that young lady now who has that child, but has some parent issues? What would you say to give them a positive focus on how they can make it or how they can go about either fix it or just dealing with it? What would you suggest to them right now if they're watching right now or when they watch?
I absolutely love that question. I love that question because I am an advocate for I don't want to say an advocate, but I'm very passionate about being grounded with self because, going down the road of life that I had, it was a lot of times where I was with myself. And sometimes you could get really caught up in your head or caught up in the, in the what if, or at the am I not doing, or if I don't look like, or I don't have, I would just recommend you I don't want to push faith or religion on anybody. But for my perspective, if I did not have a relationship with God that I know for myself, I'm not a holy roller. I don't roll all over the floor. I don't quote the Bible backwards and forwards and all of that.
You're not going for a run around the church, right?
No. I ain't doing all that. I get my little 2-step on thank you, Jesus. But I'm glad that I know God for myself because when I was at my lowest point, it was only Him who was able to bring me up and kind of, and not even kind of just really move me into the direction that I would go to. So I would, number one, first say, get to know God and get to know God for yourself. And don't let anybody give you their version of God because everybody's version is going to be different.
Talk to him.
So, and second, I would say, take some time to really get to know what your issues really are and confront them head on and say, all right, what is the issue? Because there is going to be a lot of emotions. There is going to be a lot of abandonment feelings. There is going to be a lot of neglect and the, low self-esteem and all of that. But you get to a point where you have to say, how much of this am I going to keep internalizing? How much of this am I going to keep, putting on myself until it's kind of like you're digging a little hole, you're digging this hole, you're digging this hole. It keeps getting deeper, for real. And then you have to realize, you're putting yourself in this hole because at the end of the day, these people that you're letting give you all of that negativity, they're still walking around. They're still sleeping. They're still shopping. They're still vacationing. And you're sitting here beating yourself up for for them not doing what they were supposed to do for you. So I would just really just acknowledge it, really take a look at it and say, hey, okay, that part of me is over. No matter, because trauma strikes people, it has a different way of settling for it's, I don't know how to explain, I'm not a doctor, but it's it has a different way of a different way of affecting people.
Yeah, everybody reacts to trauma differently.
Everybody reacts different. It's just, that acknowledgement piece is key. And then third, live your dream, no matter what it is. It could be something as corny, yo, I want to make the best steak ever. So you go out and you buy them steaks and you keep working on that and you keep getting yourself to a point where you don't need someone else's validation, reassurance, recognition, encouragement, because you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I did that steak. I tried it. It's good for me. If you don't like it, then that's your business. But I'm gonna, that's those three things, just to recap, is definitely knowing God for yourself, self-awareness is definitely key. And then really pursuing what your purpose is, just to kind of like, sum it all up. Because if you don't, you're just going to be just floating around, just not really knowing what to do. And as a mama, you don't have in my opinion, it may be different from other opinions. This is my opinion. You don't have the option of counting out, because if you count out, then you got to think, this person that looks at me, this person that calls me mommy, this person that depends on me, who are they going to depend on? You could give them to anybody. You give them to your aunt, you can give them to your grandmother, you can give them to your sister, brother, cousin, but at the end of the day, they're yours. They're your responsibility. So just think about that. That's all.
Love it. I love the answer. And I think it shows your growth, because, and I'm going to ask, but I know the answer. Mm-hmm. Now that you're a mom, did that change your view of, say, your mother and I? Now that you're a mom and you're looking at how you take care of your son, does it give you a different look at how maybe, and again, not being knowing what you were when you were younger, but when you look at as being a parent now and looking at your parents, has that changed? Has that given you a paradigm shift in terms of, okay, I can see why my mom might have did this, I can see why my dad might have did this. There's still no excuse for anything negative. But how is that with you in terms of, now that you're a parent, how did that now affect how you looked at your mother now?
I was able to split you guys in two and just really look at what was going on in this person's life, and then look at what was going on in their life. I mean, it's unexcusable for the behaviors on each of your sides, but at the end of the day, I came to the realization, like, everybody makes choices, and the choice you guys made, whatever choices you felt were going to be in your best interest. A little selfish, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I get it, but I don't. But those are choices that I'm very aware of that I won't be making.
But that's actually the beautiful part of it. And I'm glad you said that, because that's the fact that you get to look back at history and make that designation. And I think that's the maturity that we hope that everybody gets to. And the reason why I'm transparent is I don't fake that I didn't make mistakes. I own them and say it, because by saying it, I give life to the help that I'm offering, because I don't run away from it. I never have. And if I'm not liked by it, I get it, because you're not going to be liked when you replay it and go, you could have did differently. And that's what's very important. And I share that, especially with men. The reason why I work with women mostly is because I want to give insight to why some men do the things that they do. And a lot of it is very stupid. And again, just looking at this week, we had 6 children, 5 so far. The little one is begging me about coming on tomorrow, but okay. We have 5 children, as you see, all 5, 4 mothers. We have a daughter, and actually I'm going to ask you about the other. We're going to talk about that in a second too. So when you have 5 children that are now online, 4 different mothers, there's mistakes that's going to be made. Because the one thing that a man can't be to so many children is he can't be the good dad to all of them. Now, could he have been better within the time? Without question. But I think
can I I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I just want to say this, because that made me kind of like a little light bulb went off. I get that. But with a life form and recreating life, it's kind of one of those things where you gotta step in, because it's like, when you think about the one parent, it's like now that one parent is doing dual roles, when the other person, they're not sick, they're not infirm, they're not crippled, they're not handicapped, they're able bodies, but they won't do. So it's kind of like you can have multiple. I feel like it's a lot of life forms to want to be able to connect with, but that's the beauty of being a parent. You got to be creative, and you kind of got to figure it out.
So here's the pushback. If you don't know how to, how do you? Now you say, yes, figure it out, right? Right? How much time does that take? Now I'm going to ask you as a counselor, not your dad.
Okay.
I'm ask you as a counselor. You are 100% right. But if a man or woman does not know how to do what you just said, how much time does it take for them to learn that? Now, remember, we're talking multiple children.
Mm-hmm.
So as that person, male or female, is trying to figure out how to be whatever to all these children, that's to the children. Now, we haven't even talked about their mothers yet. And I'm not going to speak about the mothers negative.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that person, and if it's a female, we talking about the fathers.
I get where, okay.
How does the person know how to be that to the children if they've never seen it and they don't know? And if they now start to try to figure it out, how much time does that take? And the answer is really, it's a trick question, because it depends on the person, the situation, but it depends on where they're getting the information from.
I was going to say that. I'm like, did the person try to get with someone who maybe has more than one kid to say, hey, what did you do to balance, opposed to just saying like, oh, I'm not going to deal at the moment because I don't know how to deal. Because it's kind of like, okay, but we didn't ask to be here either. So it's kind of like, you gotta
go ahead. No, that's the balance. That's
like, you gotta kind of like, figure that out, because it's like, I'll bring it back over here.
Yeah, of course.
We'll just say like, what if I had 4 kids, right? And I'm like, shit, I got 4 kids. So I gotta try in my mind. And yeah, I never, you know what I mean? I'm a new parent. So like with 4 children, I realized, I think it starts with the 1 kid. And then like, once you realize like, okay, this is what the 1 kid needed. This is what I did for the 1 kid. This is the relationship with the 1 kid. Okay, so can I emulate this relationship with the next kid? It's not the same kid, but I can see if what the skills that I learned with the first kid would work with the second kid. And I feel like it goes down the line. Yes, it's going to take a lot of time, but it's also the effort that's needed, because nobody gave us a manual for kids. You just have them and you figure it out.
Well, actually the manual, the Bible is a great one, but here's the thing. What happens is, and I think you're 100% right. And and again, we're going to talk about me. When you have a child, what the situation that is now, you're not just talking about the child, you're talking about the relationship with the mother. Then you're talking about the relationship with the other mother. And then you're talking about the relationship that they may or may not have between them. And then you're trying to figure out how do you balance that. And then you also have to talk about the whole situation of life itself. Because if you're starting to, and if you've had no example of what that looks like, you're flying blind.
I gotta remember that. That, you know what it is? Because talking to you, it's kind of like, I forget that you didn't have that fatherly, like you didn't have that. And that's why I get sometimes like a part of me feels like I feel for you, or have a little bit of sympathy for it.
Just a little.
Yeah, I have sympathy for it. But then you also emulated the same behaviors that he imposed on you to the rest of us. And it's like, I'm assuming that there was no middle person to kind of get you back on the road of like, hey, KL or Keith or whichever you go by.
I'm all of that. I'm all of that. I'm all of those. I'm all of those. Big dog by some as well. Go ahead.
You need to, get in contact with these kids. So I guess what you were kind of doing was like picking up. And because I feel like I'm going to talk about you a little bit, if you don't mind.
Oh, listen, I got thick skin. Come on. You ain't gonna be the first
because when I think about my story, I'm not going to go in detail, everybody. But, you were in a full like you were about to get married. Like you were getting married.
To who?
To he who shall not be named. You get married. You know who you get married to.
I'm saying mother to your mother, the other mother you got to.
You wasn't getting married. You wasn't getting married to my mama. Now you need to stop.
Yes.
You need to stop. I mean, it could be a thing, but that's what y'all.
When you were conceived, I wasn't with anybody.
So okay, so you weren't with anybody. So this was after.
I found out about you.
Yeah.
I did not know. So I never got to see. This is the thing, and we're gonna talk about it.
Be transparent, y'all.
I'm gonna make sure you have all the information, because I want to make sure, because I hear everything that you're saying, but the thing that you got to realize is that you got to look at the situation for what it is and then go, Now, you're going to make wrong moves, which I did. But if I find out about you after you're 4 months old, and it's not that I found out directly, I found out indirectly. Somebody had to see you in a carriage and saw that you look like me, and then I got a call. Hey, you got a baby out there. And I go, really? And then I start doing the math and I'm doing the numbers and I'm thinking of your age and I'm thinking of the time that I was there with your mom. And I'm like, something's not adding up. So then I call, and when I call and say, you have a child, 4 months old, and the answer is no. I said, no, is the child mine? No. I was like, oh, it's not. I hung up the phone. I'm not gonna go out here and search for babies. This is why I'm saying I'm giving you the truth. I'm being completely transparent.
It's fine. It's received.
So now, I'm saying, listen, I'm fully transparent. And this is the reason why I have these conversations, because now I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, so she was just out there. And again, we didn't have that type of relationship. It was physical. So now I called back and said, so when did you have this child? Because you was with me. And then it was like, okay, we need to talk. We need to talk. And then when I saw you, I was like, okay, looks like me, but now we got to do something. And then that's when I went to court. We never had a relationship, which never allowed itself to become a relationship because it was toxic from the beginning.
Are you sure? Because she met the
100%.
family. She met the family and stuff. So that's why I'm like, it was physical.
No, she didn't meet the family.
She never was with your sisters?
No, they did
so
that.
So how they met her after?
Yes, way after. Now let me fill you in, because I know you see, I can tell this. All right, let me tell you the real uncut hip hop. Yeah, take a drink of water. You're gonna need this. Buckle up.
Yes.
Buckle up. Your mom had told your grandfather and grandmother that the father was somebody else. So when I showed up,
I'm gonna have a visitor, my kiddo.
All right, come on, listen, come on.
Come on, Dad, you can let him come up.
Come on, so
come on, kiddo.
When I found out, come on, little man. Come on. Come on, let's go.
My shadow. It's okay.
And you guys watching, because I'm gonna walk you through this while she's getting Grayson. While she's getting Grayson together, we're gonna walk through this, because again, this is why we do this, guys. So buckle up, we're gonna talk about it. This is what you gotta deal with.
Wanna go get a puppy?
And you mothers, again,
so go get it and come home. And then you can watch a show with mommy.
It is critical that the information, because
quick.
Oh, go ahead. It's very important, especially men that are out there. And you don't get upset because this happens, and revisionist history is a wonderful thing, but to be transparent, you gotta be honest. So I'll walk you through it, because I want you to understand, because I know that you have not been given all the information. That doesn't mean it would change how you feel about me, because there are times that me and you in our interactions, it could have been better, and I admit that 100%. So I find out that I ask about you when you're 4 months old. I come out to see you. Yes, you look exactly like me, but I'm like, okay, we need to do something, because I'm not sure what's going on. Your mother had explained to your grandparents that there was somebody else as the father. Are you there? I'm not sure. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm getting bubble guppies together.
No, it's all right. Go ahead. So now, at that point, we had seen each other off and on while that was going on. But remember, now at this point, with you 4 months old, I was already in a relationship. Now, I wasn't on my way to getting married, because I didn't get married until 91, or the first time in court, and then I got married officially in 92. So in 89, now I'm like, okay, how do I deal with this? I'm in a relationship, a serious relationship, and now I just found out I had a daughter. So I'm like, okay, I'll do the things that I need to do. I'll get the medical coverage for my job, convince my job to give me medical coverage. But your mother and I never had a working relationship. Your mother and I never talked. We had a couple of times that we were physical, but your grandfather and I had a conversation. And your grandfather's the one that reached out to me and said, the money that you're sending out here is not being used for your daughter. We got to do something about this. I said, okay, what do you want to do? And he said, I don't know. Is there anything that you can do? Okay. So I went to court and I had the money stopped, and I would give it directly to your grandfather. So when your grandfather asked me, he said, I want to take her down south. I want to take her down south because I want to get her out of New York, because I think it's the best thing for her. And now this is where, when I replayed in my head, and if I had to do all over again, and I had this conversation with Tiff is that if I had been with someone like Tiff at that moment, I would have been better prepared to deal with the situation that came. What happened was, my ex-wife, anyway, Salty Jones. We'll leave it at that. Salty Jones is going to be the nickname. Hey, listen, it's public knowledge. I'm happily divorced and happily married. So I knew that I was not going to be able to bring you into my relationship because I didn't know how to wedge that together. Like a lot of men, I didn't know how to be the father over here while still trying to take care of a relationship over here when the relationship over here was super negative to anything that was going on this side of the Mississippi. Now,
why didn't you put your foot down?
Because I didn't know how. No, I'm being honest. I didn't know how. Because again, when you're a whore, you know how to be a whore. When you've never actually had what an image of a strong man is supposed to be. I didn't come up in that relation. I didn't come up in that. I was in a house full of women. So I never had any male figures that say, this is what a husband is supposed to look like. This is what a father is supposed to look like. I didn't even know my own father. And I was actually out there going on instinct. And so like you saw with Jonathan last night, do the math. I had Jonathan at 14 years old.
Yeah.
So when you have Jonathan at 14, and now I have you years later, I still didn't know what I was doing because Anthony shows up a year and a half later, which Grandma Tina said, your girlfriend is going to get pregnant because she's not going to let somebody else outdo her. And then sure enough, and here's why I got married. Again, I know you don't have all the information. I got married because I didn't want to be the guy who had baby here, baby there. I became that dude anyway. Now, when you went down south, this is what I mean, where I made the biggest mistake was. I should have never let you go down south. I should have said, no, I should have stepped up and said, no, I'm going to take my child to be with me. And you just going to have to be that chick and help me raise my child because I'm going to try to be the dad that I need to be. But again, when you don't know how to do that now, with Tiff and I, once Tiff is in my life, I understand how to do that. But now some of the damage is done because you got all these children out here. So what happens is your mother and I didn't see each other again. Like after you went down south, I didn't hear from you. I didn't hear from your mom. I didn't hear from nobody. So because your grandpa said, I know you're getting married. And so let's do this. I'm going to take her down south because I want to get her away from what's going on here. Your grandpa and your mom were not having the greatest relationship. The police were being called, a whole lot of foolishness. We're not getting into all that. So when he said that, I said, okay, because again, I did like a lot of soft men do. It was a way to deal with the problem without dealing with it. So now when your grandpa takes you down south and I am in Brooklyn with your brothers, now when you come back, you came back, angry. And we know why, because you had the situation. Yeah. Now what happens is when your mom had you now, me and her still didn't have a relationship. She called me to say, well, your daughter's back. What are we going to do? I said, what do you want to do? And at that time, she was trying to figure out what to do. We still didn't have a working relationship because her and I couldn't get on the same path because she was now angry that I was married because she said, you and I could have what we could have, whatever, this is what it is. Now, when
it just was the communication of what you guys was not clear. And,
now when you
dealing with someone, as a
now
woman.
I'm married.
And
now I'm married and it changes. But here's the thing, what I was telling you before. But once you was in high school and you started messing up in high school, one of the first things I said to your mom, this is when I started to put my foot down. But again, the reason why is you're older now and it made it very difficult because you were a hard teenager. When I found out, because I had got a call from Chris and Chris said, she's wilding out and we don't know what else to do with her. And that's when I used to get the calls and I'd show up and you tell me whatever lies you need to tell me. And I'd listen to the BS and be like, no, I know she's lying, but okay. You're like you missing 45 days of school, but I ain't doing it. Right, but okay. So now I'm like, what do I do? So that's when I went to court and I told your mom, she's coming to stay with me because if she doesn't, they're going to kick her out of school. And we don't want that because she's already got one foot out the door in the streets anyway. Let's fix this. So when I went to court and the courts changed it, that's when we had you come stay with grandma because again, not listening. I should have listened to grandma and grandma Tina, grandma Chrissy and grandma Tina. My wife was like, well, she ain't coming here. And I was right because I was angry with her. I didn't like her either because I shouldn't have been married to her. I didn't like her either. So I was just like, all right, whatever, she'll go to my grandma's house. So again, I was like, but if I can provide what she needs at my grandmother's house, again, indirectly, I'm trying to make the bed, but not actually coming in the room and making the bed.
Right.
That worked to a degree, but again, not. So over the years, now you got Justin, who I didn't know about for 9 years. Jonathan, who I didn't know about for 26 years. And the reason why I say that is because it's really easy to go, you got all these kids. If I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Jonathan, I got through Facebook. I got a series of messages that it was like, you think you might want to talk? But what a lot of people don't know.
Put that back in there. Don't do that.
What a lot of people don't know what Jonathan is, I asked when he was 2, I was told no. I asked when he was 12, I was told no. So if somebody tell you no, it's not your child, okay, I'm not trying to go find kids. The thing that I look at now, it goes back to something that you said. When you go back to the beginning, when I had you, Anthony, Elijah together, there was more I could have did then. And I didn't realize it until I got older. And the hard part was,
give that to mommy.
That anger, that disappointment, and a lot of things that you were going through, I couldn't fix that because I can't go back and change the past. So the thing that I said I'll do is I'll always be here if you want to talk. But I had to grow into that person. That's why when we spoke after grandma passed, my biggest thing now is, no, I'm not the same person. You even said it yourself, like, who's this dude on the phone? This ain't.
Because it seemed less about talking to you. It seemed less about you, because most conversations seem to be very, focused on you and not about the issue that I'm coming to you with. And just to kind of, chime in on a lot of things about, being a teenager, our relationship, our father and daughter relationship, I feel like even as I'm 31 now, it's very foreign to me. I don't really know what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to actually even feel like. And I gotta say, I'm thankful to, Chris, because, he helped me to understand the components of what it's supposed to be like where the dad is supposed to step in and where, this is the actual role. So this is what my job is as a dad. Put it down. Go. Don't do that. Go sit down. No. Thank you. No. Sorry, Grayson has
and as a husband, and as a husband also with him as well.
It has, my teenage years, I will say, were some of the most epic years of my life, because I don't think anybody, and just for the people that are watching, because, your specialty is, Christ is going to be Christ. Don't touch that.
He's like, yeah, okay, you can't do that and do me too. Let's go.
Yeah. Go get a truck. Go get your truck and bring it to mommy so I can see it. Yeah, go get it. Go get a train. Yeah. Go get it. Yeah.
So ladies that are watching, as my daughter is talking and doing her thing, again, the reason why we do this, and I'm gonna let Kierra get back to what she's saying. The reason why we do this is we hope that you're gaining from this, because it's not scripted. Me and Kierra didn't talk about what we're going to talk about. We just going to flow with it. So go ahead, darling. Come on. You was talking about Chris.
I was just going to, it was very traumatic, because it's like there was a lot of emotions there. And as a woman, you're dealing with so many different things, dealing with trying to know yourself, trying to navigate through like men, trying to navigate through women, trying to navigate through people, like just trying to get through everything. And I feel like if I had you to pour in to me the way that I've seen you pour into because I can't, because Jonathan's relationship is different and Justin's relationship is different, because we're similar but different at the same time. Because you could even tell by the conversations out of the 5 of us,
definitely.
It's like, it's always, for the ones who didn't have the 2-parent, we always had to rely on other individuals to give us what you didn't give us. No doubt. And for me, I even look at your relationship with like KL and I'm like, wow, like, it is capable. You can do that. You are able to. Because I look at it and I literally, it's like, I have no idea what's happening. Like, what is that? And it's weird enough to say, it's like, it's not, it's kind of weird, because it's like, even when I see people now, I work with people all the time and I see fathers and daughters, I'm like, huh? Like, why does it seem so foreign to me?
It is. Not why it is. And that's the thing. It is because I wasn't this guy. I had to grow into this guy. That's why I asked you the question in terms of time, because a lot of men figure it out as they get older. And unfortunately, the second woman, the next wife, or the next child gains. But one of the things that you said, and I'll explain it to you this way. Children from a marriage, even if it's one that's struggling, but those parents are there, if they're working together, they have a little advantage because, like you said, Auntie Elijah had me there. And I think that was that rub that was always, and I could see it. I didn't know how. I had to learn and I had to grow and I had to go through a lot of failure to understand what that was, to understand how to be able to talk about that. I actually had to go and learn. Then when I came to the Lord at 37, I then healed that with my own father at 39. So originally it was going to God at 37, which I talk about. When I talk about going to God at 37, I needed to bring myself to God to be able to fix me, because there was no way I could fix any of you when I didn't even know myself how to fix myself. So then when I reach out to my father 2 years later and say, okay, look, I want to be able to have this relationship with you, and then realize that he was the same exact person like I was, then it was like, okay, so this generational thing is real. But then at that point, you can't go back and fix. So the only thing that you can do is say, okay, I can try to be this to her now. And you and I we've had glimmers where we've come together, we talk, and I always try to give you the proper information, even as much so the last time we talked, I said, I'm gonna tell you something. And you were like, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, because if I give you the scenario and tell you what it is, but you weren't given that, like the one thing I always have respected Chris for this reason. When Chris reached out to me when you were a teenager, he said, Keith, I'm struggling with her because she just don't want to listen. He knew I was in these streets. So he said, you are better equipped for what she's trying to do in these streets, because when he was with the bus, you were very disrespectful. He was like, I see her and I say something to her, she ain't trying to hear me. I got that. I said, okay. So the difference is when I would show up, because I didn't have a certain emotional connection that maybe I should have, it was easier for me to be the mean dude when I showed up, but that's actually what I was asked to be. But when you don't know how to bridge that, so there was no way for me to tell you as my daughter, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. So as I grow, so what happens is KL experiences the more mature me, but that doesn't mean that I don't love you. And it doesn't mean that I'm not here for you. But as things change, I can't give you what you needed at 7 because you're not 7. But what I can do at 31, anytime you call, and that's what I meant when you heard me all week say that light is on, that door is open, because just like in the Bible, when the prodigal son left, when he came back, the father didn't say, well, what'd you go do with the money and what happened? No, he just simply said, you could have died out there. Come on back, I got you. But the other son was angry because he was like, yo, how you treating him like that? When he took the money, he said, no, he could have died out there, but he came back. So for me, because I've experienced this often, and I've watched Grandma Chrissy, when certain cousins would come by, she wouldn't let them in the house. She'd make them a big plate, wrap it up, and be like, okay, and here's $20.
Right, bye.
Don't come back. So what I've learned now, and also with the fact that I help women now, is that now I can tell women, tell your man, tell your husband, tell your baby daddy to call me. Because now when I sit with them at 20 something, 18, 19, when I was working with kids in high school, I can go to them and say, stop this now. Because as an old head, I can tell you what that's going to be. So the idea is that I can't replace what I didn't do for you, but if I can try to prevent other young ladies from going through it while still making sure when you need me, I'm here. That's why I waited and put you last. You and I relationship is totally different than your brother.
Yeah.
You and I have a relationship that your brothers are not going to understand because they didn't have what you and I had, and that off and on, and that struggle and that battle. And the reason why it was so much water and vinegar, water and oil, is because we were the same person. We needed the same things. We still do. So my thing was, I wasn't going to die and not let you know that. And I was going to apologize for all of it simply because I wanted you to hear it. Now it's safer this way.
It is. I mean, I've gotten to a point, I think it was when I was 25 or 26. I'm going to say like maybe 26, that I let I would say 25. Yeah, I think it was 25 that
Okay.
I can officially say that the little girl that was hurt and, the teenager that was confused kind of like mustered up together and really let you go.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily like let you go, like good riddance, but let all that hurt and let all that go. Cause I was like, it was tired of consuming my being,
Yeah.
like tired of wondering, those questions. And for those who are watching, it's an emotional roller coaster because you go, why not me? Why wasn't I the one that he, reached out to or did more for or wanted to get to know? Because there's a lot of accomplishments that you weren't there for. And I
Yes.
know that you're gonna have, clients come, and that hurts more
Yes.
than anything, to
I
not
know.
receive
I
or
know.
to not see. And
I
then
know.
when you come to, and for me, I was always popping in, popping out
Yeah.
all the time. So whenever I come around, it's like, they were getting me at different stages of my life, but I'm thankful. You what?
Can I share
Wow.
something with you? If I told you I understand every bit of the pain that you feel for that, would you believe me? And I'll explain to you.
I wouldn't, because
I'm,
you couldn't even fathom what I went
I'm
through.
gonna tell you why. Renee and I have different fathers, right?
Yeah.
Renee's father showed up for everything, while yet he gave me his name and never showed up for anything. So imagine you have a sister. Imagine you have a sister.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you have a sister. And her
Mm-hmm.
father seems to show up to everything that she has going on, graduations, everything else, sends Christmas gifts and everything, and just says hello to you. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So imagine when he talks on the phone, when you're younger, he makes these promises that he can't keep. So you keep waiting for the truck to come and everything else, but it doesn't come. But you see that he does for your sister. Now imagine you have another sister and her father does some of the same things that you see the father of the other sister do. So you got two sisters who have two fathers who are actively involved in their life, and you don't have any of that, and your mother can't offer you any explanation to why. All you hear is that you look like the father that you have no connection to. Does it sound familiar?
It does. More than no, I'm not gonna say that you don't.
So when I'm saying I understand,
I'll take that back. Yeah, maybe you do. But then this is my pushback. If you see that we had very correlating relationships, then I feel like a part of you should have been able. Where's the Bubby? I don't know where the Bubby is. You got to find it. I'm not in charge of Bubbies. I would have hoped, and I guess that's something that, now that we're face to face with it, I would have hoped that you would understand that. But I feel like what it was kind of like, it's kind of like I gave you what I thought you needed, which was my family, because I know that I came from a strong group of women who were able to hold their own. And you know what? I'm going to just push you on over there to them. I know that they will give me the information if you need stuff. If I need to jump in, they'll let me know. But I know that I really don't have to put my hand on much, because I know that they're going to take care of it. At times, it's kind of like I didn't want to deal with grandma. I didn't want to deal with Titi. I didn't want to deal with Nene. I wanted to deal with you, because then it would have felt it would have been realer, and it would have felt like, okay, yeah, he don't see me all the time. Yeah, we don't talk on the phone all the time, but at least I know that he is I seen all right. For example, what I'm saying, when it came to clothes and shopping and stuff, we never went shopping together. You know what I'm saying? I never had that oh, hey, my dad's gonna take me, except for when I was 16 and we went to Jersey. You got me cake and all that, and that's actually a fond memory. I'm like, wow, I went to Jersey and my dad, and we had a pool in our hotel.
And you're too young to remember when I took you shopping when you were younger. But I'm just saying, you were too young.
I was too young for that. I don't remember that. I remember Jersey though. Jersey was popping. Jersey was lit. But yeah, and then also too, and I got to think about, there's a whole nother family that I don't even really know like that. Like they know of me. I know some of them. I had
Exactly.
the pleasure of meeting like the Jersey side. I don't really
Oh
know
yeah,
them
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know a few. I know like, you know, those who know, if
Yeah,
you know us, then you know
yeah,
who I know
yeah,
or who I am
yeah.
associated with. But you know,
I don't hang
yeah,
out with
so
them anyway.
it's fine. To each his own. Some of them is pretty cool though. Some of them is pretty
But
cool.
it's all connected. But not feel what you're saying. But again, it goes back to if you know, you know, and I didn't know. And by the time I got to learn, and there's no excuses because I don't make any excuses, and that's the reason why I apologize because you're 100% right. And one of the things that you said, I didn't push you off to the women because it was easier. I pushed it off because that's the only thing I knew how to do because I didn't know how to do anything else.
You want to
And
be in the camera so bad. No, get
no,
down.
we're not putting you on camera. Right? He said, I'll put my head in
Yeah.
there anyway.
This is what he do.
So the idea is that I put you in that position because I knew that they were going to know how to at least take care of the female part because I did not know. And the thing is, when you have and it wasn't easy situations because the mothers are not easy to deal with. And that's what I mean by understand that it's when you have that situation where you're dealing with children, you want to try to do certain things with your children, but I'm also fighting with the other mothers, just trying to get things straight when I'm dealing with one mother who's not telling me the truth. And I didn't even know where Justin was for 9 years. Then, and I'm going through the divorce, which wasn't a nice divorce because we have the abortion and then you find out that I created a child with somebody else. So that made that situation super negative. So I was when I say I was a nasty and negative dude, I don't hide it. And the reason why I say it is because one, I want to make sure everybody knows what you do is what you do. Who you are is who you are. It is when you acknowledge it that you take back your power. Well, the problem is by the time I got to this point where I understood I needed to be different, you had already grown up. And so everything that you're saying is 100% right. I couldn't give you those things because I didn't know how. And I don't make it as an excuse. The truth is the truth. And I don't have a problem with who hates me, who doesn't like me. I don't have a problem if people poke fingers. I don't have a problem if people go, oh my God, you was irresponsible. Yes, you're 100% right. But this is also the reason why you turn to God, because once God says, I forgive you, I don't worry about what people think about, but what I do try to do with us is when you actually have, and it's what my father did for me. When I reached out to Grandpa, who you haven't met, well, you met at the wedding.
I met him, but a long time ago.
But that was also why when we got married, when Tiff and I got married, the reason why we didn't throw the bouquet, and the reason why I gave it to you, it was almost like a peace offering. I'm saying is, I don't know, I can't make up what I didn't make up, but now I have somebody new. Now I'm saying, let's try to see what this can be. I can never go back and fix what was broken. But what I can be is somebody that's here for you now. What I can be is somebody that you can talk to now. And now, once we can get past this COVID thing and stuff like that, when I do come up to New York, now we can sit down and go from now. So what happens is,
I know.
Here's the thing. Now, as your dad, I gotta ask you a question. You know, you ready?
Yeah.
Now, are you ready to get on the hot seat?
Yeah.
Are you ready? I'm gonna ask you again because I gotta be out. You ready to get on the hot seat?
Shoot.
Okay. Now I heard everything that you said about contact, everything when you was a little girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
How come you don't call your sister?
KL?
Yes.
KL.
Yay, Grace. There we go. Yay. And the reason why, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm not putting it to put you out there. The reason why is because I understand the situation with us. And the reason why is because with her, she doesn't have any of those blinders. And she just kind of figures she's asking the questions that you were asking. But I can't force any of you to come to the table because she's not going to understand the pain that's there because of her father. I can explain it to her, but as she gets older, I will. So the reason why I say that is because it gives you a chance to pour into her. Hey, she needs her clothes. It's not that type of show.
No, baby.
Listen, no nursing.
No.
We're not nursing now.
Go get your baby and stop.
And the reason why I say it is because she knows some of her brothers, but that's actually what I'm trying to repair too. Is like tomorrow when she's on, I'm going to invite. Oh, I know you got to work, but I'm going to invite all of y'all to jump on the Zoom call because y'all can speak to her. But that's something that now that I'm older, I want to try to keep those lines of communication up simply because grandma's gone, great grandmother's gone. You have a child, Jonathan has children, so the family is growing. So we have a chance to repair some of the things that we weren't able to do when we were in opposite positions, when we were in different positions. You are a quality mom. You grew up to be a quality woman. You're a quality daughter. And if I could do anything now to change it, I would. But if we change it, we don't know what that makes us now. The one thing I've learned coming to God is I do not stress the what was. And the reason why is I learn from it. I don't take the pain from it, because then it affects how you feel now. What I do is when I'm counseling and what I do for myself, I go back in my past to get the information. I bring it forward so I can deal with it and figure it out. That's why when you call, I'm like, I'm here, let's talk. Because I know with grandma gone, it just left a gigantic void in what's happening. So I'm here.
It did. Grandma, I mean, because grandma was like, there's nobody that's gonna fill that space for me, because grandma always made my relationship feel like our relationship. Like me and her relationship couldn't be duplicated. It couldn't be, change. Like I knew that I had a real relationship with my grandma. Like I know that I know my grandma loved me. That was my homie. That was my best friend. That was like my little bit of everything. So it's like, I feel like that's why I guess I don't really like, I'm not going to use the word hate, because hate is a very, very strong word.
It's okay.
But I guess
okay.
that,
I understand.
That's what kind of gives me a little bit less, I guess I'm not as hard with you, because it's like, you gave me the gift of my grandma, so I can't, and obviously you're her child and my dad, but it's kind of like, how do I say this without coming out? Because if I'm gonna say something, I gotta really like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm good.
On myself. It's like,
say it.
You made it so to where you don't exist in my life. So it's like, it's kind of weird to incorporate you in a life that you didn't exist. And to circle back to my sister, she wasn't presented to me in a way where we could open up the communication for me to be that great big sister that I know that I can
just kind of pushed together.
It was kind of like, oh, there's a baby sister. Oh yeah, great, wonderful. Yeah, I'm super excited for her, because like that's my sister. Like, oh my God, that's my sister. Like, I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I got a sister. But also too, I'm like, I know I have a relationship with her the way that I should have a relationship with her. And my thing is like, yes, it's me. Like, yes, I can reach out. But then a part of me is kind of like, not to sound selfish, but like, where are you going to fit in? Not even where you're going to fit in, but it's like, I'm not there yet. If that makes sense. Like, I'm not saying like because I've had conversations with her. Like I've spoken to her, and the girl is like, bro, like brilliant. Like I never met. How old is she? 6 now?
7.
Sit down. 7 now?
Yes.
No, baby. No. Okay. All right. Here, because that's all you want to do. Yeah. And
you don't have to rush at anybody's pace. It is your pace. The offer is always there. And my thing, and it wasn't put out there as just any shame or anything like that, or any shade. For you, you take as much time, as I said to you in the text message earlier. You have nothing to apologize for. I do. And I own it. And there's some things I may never be able to repair. But the thing that I can give you is I can give you answers to questions, and I can love you. Now, I can't go back and change anything. But what you can do is when I'm here, just like if you have a question, when you call me, I'm here. And if you have a question and about my grandson, fine. And I look forward to meeting him. And eventually and I was telling Jonathan last night, I'm going to try to set it up once we can get this whole COVID thing under control. You have a whole grandpa that you need to see again that you haven't seen since the wedding, who calls himself sliding down the steps, doing a little dance step, doing the walk. But the idea is that, I don't go back and go, oh, but if we could have did this. No, because that rabbit hole is the most dangerous rabbit hole of all of the what if. I don't do that. And I think sometimes when I have acted in that capacity, it's always he doesn't care. No, if I can't fix it, then I'm not going to put voice to it, because then what happens is I can't heal your pain if you're not ready to give it to me. But I also can't fix anybody around you who is reacting to your pain if they haven't sat down and talked to me. Because unfortunately, just like you and I talking tonight, not everybody had all the information. And it's not like I sat down and was like, well, let me tell you everything. You don't need to know that. It's just not what you need. And most people didn't know what was going on with me. See, the one thing I like when I talk to women I'll listen to everything they got to say. And then I'll say, well, now tell me about the dad, or tell me about your ex-husband, or tell me about your husband, or tell me about your baby father. And sometimes the information is very limited. And then when I probe and I ask some questions and say, well, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, that's a big thing because you don't know what it is. But I am super happy because look, we go, oh Lord, it's like 9:45. I knew we was gonna go long, but it's okay.
Oh Lord.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna tell you this, baby girl. And I want to say this. Yes, everything that you said has been 100% correct. I have been distant and I have been basically non-existent. And I understand that. But the one beautiful thing about coming to God and understanding who God is, not about being a holy roller, because I'm the same way. I'm not running around nobody's church, and I fight with church folks all the time. I'm like, y'all need to get up out that Bible and get with people. Is that you've never had to not know that if you called me, I was going to be there. I should have did more. And I'll say it again and I'll keep saying it. I should have done more, but I'm here. And we're going to work to put this together because that was the whole purpose of talking to Jonathan last night. Talking to all of your brothers. So I want to ask you this last question because I'm going to make it get back to being a little lighthearted because I know some folks. We got some women out there who's not estranged from their dads, like a little emotional right now. So I'm gonna ask you this: when you saw your brothers, on, what do you think when you see your brothers? Just them, not the situations, but just them. What do you think of your brothers when because I know y'all hang out. And I know Justin has come up a couple of times and poked his head. And that was always something that I knew, like I told Jonathan last night, I knew if I could keep y'all connected, then I knew y'all were never going to part from each other because y'all all had some issue with me. So I was like, if I'm the linchpin that keeps them all together, fine. And the fact that all of you are connected and speak, what was that like listening to them this week? And what has it been like being connected to them as their sister?
I love my brothers. I love my brothers. I think my brothers are dope individuals. I think that they are they're an amazing group of men. They are super. They all have and me and Jonathan laugh about it all the time. Like we all have a certain trait from you. Some of us can finesse it. Others, I ain't gonna put you out there, but
no comment.
What I'll say is that, you know, I'm lucky to have them because I know, like, if I needed, or, you know, if I needed to really talk, like John knows, like if I had a situation, I would go to him, you know, Anthony's Grayson's godfather, because, you know, Anthony he's Grayson's godfather, and I wanted to give him that option because it's like, you know, we are close. Even though, you know, I prayed for Jonathan. I used to lie. This used to be the funniest thing when I was in middle school, and you could tell people like, yeah, I got an older brother and he gonna do it. And then what's so funny is to circle back, you know, all the way down, come to find out I actually did have an older brother who is amazing. And, you know, even with just like looking at Justin sometimes, I'd be like, look at the light-skinned version of dad. Like, what? Like, he got a light skin going on. And the fact that he's so comfortable within himself, given, you know, his situations, because our situations are pretty similar. And the fact that he talked a lot about dealing with his anger and dealing with his emotions. And from a man's perspective, you know, my hats are off to him, because he could have been like, I don't want to be bothered. This is not what I'm looking for. I want somebody who's going to be in my life more, but he didn't let it defeat him. He just rose to the occasion, and now he's amazing. And I love him and his girlfriend. I don't know his girlfriend, but, you know, social media is my way into everybody.
Yeah, so you get to see him.
You know, like, I mean, I talk to you every single day, but I know if I need to put my hand on you, I can put my hand on you. So it's like, you know, and like with Anthony, like I just love, he's very funny and very raw, and, you know, that's something about his personality that I don't think will ever, that I won't change, because you always need that one person that's gonna give it to you raw, but also make you laugh at the same time. And like, and Elijah, he is the glue. Like when you said that to him, like, you are the glue to make it work, because he is. Like, if I got into a fight with Anthony because one of his comments, I didn't receive it the correct way, Elijah will go and interpret what needed to be said. And you know what I mean? Like all the time. And like Jonathan is just kind of like the one who kind of like aligns us all and sets the standard for us, because it's like, you know, even though we didn't, even though I'll say it, like, even though we didn't have you as much as we wanted to, like Jonathan came in at the right time, at the right moment, with the right skill set to be able to be you when you're not around.
Okay.
And that's something that I feel like, I definitely appreciate. And I want Justin to get a little bit of Jonathan too, so he can see, like, yeah, like if you can't talk to dad, you know that you could.
And he has because
and hit him up.
He's come up and been around Jonathan now. And when he came up for,
you gonna get KL, don't worry.
Oh no, listen, I'm not worried about that. Oh, I know. Listen, we're gonna do that. And that was always something for me, that amongst all my trash, the one thing I always understood was the power of this family is that no matter how many fights, knockdown, whatever, even if we don't talk, when something happens, they're gonna show up. So I knew that if I kept y'all linked together, and I know if I kept y'all linked to the women in this family, they gonna fight. That's what they do. Lord knows. And I've seen it because I've watched my grandmother and her sister fight when they were fighting over me staying with my great-grandmother, which would be your great-great-grandmother, when I was 17, out of control. That's why I said we mirror each other in more ways than you realize. And I had to go stay with an uncle because I was on my way to jail in New York. That's how I ended up in South Jersey. So when I say I understand you more than you realize, I watched Grandma Chrissy and Aunt Annie go to blows, almost physically, with their mother, 90-something years old, laying in the bed, saying, I'm unable to take care of myself. How are you going to leave this child down here? Yeah. And my uncle, who you never got to meet, Uncle Nat, said, let him stay here. I'll take care of him. And then on top of that, he then tells me after all the stuff settles down, I'm not going to take care of you. You're going to have to take care of yourself. I just didn't feel like hearing them argue. So I'm going to take care of my mom, and you're going to take care of yourself and just stay out of trouble. And so I get it. And I'm so happy that y'all are connected.
Come over here.
So one of the things I'm not going to talk about, I was going to talk about, but I'm not, because I wanted to talk about number 5, who you met, and I have not.
We could do it real quick. We could go real quick, because I already know it's 10 o'clock and the people probably
it's okay. Listen, they hear,
like this.
They hear and they watching. So
here?
I want to ask you this about number 5.
Because I do want to talk about that though.
When you went to number, okay, so guys, let me just set this up real quick. Y'all gonna have to hang out. So if y'all have somewhere to go, hang out. We're gonna do this. My number 5 is the second daughter, and she's the number 5th child. She would be 24 now. Her mother doesn't want to admit that I am the father. She has not told her, or she hadn't told her that I was the father, because her husband is a guy that I went to school with. Oh, yeah, so you gotta know the whole story. So him and I went to school together, and the whole time that they were dating and the whole thing, I was messing with. So their very first child could be mine, and my daughter's the middle child. So when you have the middle child that's not yours, and you got an older one and a younger one, come on, do the math, you see what it is. So this whole time, the reason why I never went and told her I was her father, because you don't go tell a child, hey, I'm your dad, and you don't have no landing or no net for her to fall into if need be. So Kierra decided, I'm going to go tell her that we share the same dad. So now that I brought them up to speed, what was that like when you went over to, what is that, the Pathmark to go?
Stop and
we're going to say the supermarket. We're not going to say the name. The supermarket where and had a conversation. Come on, talk to me.
It was like this. So I was with my brother, of course, Marody, and I was aware of her, but I never got to see her. And
that
it
one
just
idol
so happened
picture, that one idol picture that grandma.
Yeah, like it was like, and I was like, wow, she looked like OD, looked like grandma. She looked like grandma more than me, like
yes,
OD.
Yes.
And it was like, I had an apartment that was like not too far from the supermarket. And I told Jo, I said, yo, I see this girl and I know that she's my sister. And he's like, yo, nah, don't do it. Like, he was kind of like, don't do it. But then I was like, nah, like, I was like, yo, I don't want to live a lie. Like, I can't, because I would want somebody, even though it would be like such crazy news, I would want someone to say, hey, you look like you could be related to me. Better yet, you are related to me. And I'm going to tell you how. Now I know her receiving it, like I tried to do it in a way where it's like, you know, hey, this is gonna sound weird.
Yeah.
But we're related and we have the same dad, and I'm gonna show you. So I actually had a picture of all of us from Thanksgiving. I think it was 2016 or 2017.
No,
And
it was before that. It was actually way before that. It was 14.
When Justin was it 2014? Was 2014? I know that
14, yeah.
me and Jo, we went over to your. That's when you were in Brooklyn, and
Yeah,
Justin
was
had
15.
came up.
Yeah, it was 15.
Yeah.
No,
So, was it 15 or 14?
14. Got you.
So, you know, I had a picture of even KL, like it was all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, this is your dad. You look just like him. This is my dad. So we're sisters, and these are your brothers.
How did she react?
It was like, from what I remember, because it is a very long time ago, she was kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, you got to be crazy, but I'm going to listen because the crazy sounds like it could be real.
Yeah.
So, you know, she took it in, and I was like, I gave her my information, and I was like, yo, listen, if you want to talk, call me and stuff like that. No, like,
hold
I don't think.
that thought for 1 second, because I want to share this, and I know you didn't know this. Her mother had me around them. Never told her. So she had seen me.
Wow.
She had seen me a couple of times, and I kept saying, and it was Grandma Tina and Grandma Chrissy that was like, no, because you can't open that door and not be prepared to deal with everything, meaning who she thought was her father, and her mother was holding on to the lie because her mother now would be put out on Front Street.
Oh, so this is my thing. So she really thought that man was her father?
Yes.
Like he got her pregnant?
Yes.
Oh, so then that's why. See, then I didn't. So now
that's what I'm saying. That's why I reached out. That's why I reached out to you.
Okay.
And I said, I'm glad that you said something. But my thing was, the reason why
Sorry, sis.
No, it's okay. The reason why I never said anything was because I would beg the mother. We would have private conversations. And I would beg her, listen, please say something, because I can't be the one to just pop in if you're not prepared to deal with everything that's going to come from that, because she's going to be out there all by herself. You can't do that. Her mother was like, no, because then everybody going to know I lied. You're lying now. And it's hurting
she's
her.
Grown, and she don't look like she looks like.
And the dad had already had a bad situation with the mom, so they weren't together. And then the mom took him to court for child support, which I was like, no, don't do. Now you're taking the man's money for 3 kids when you know one of them is not his. So you just made the situation worse, because now whenever you tell the truth, the first thing he gonna do is spaz because you took his money. And when he finds out that you took his money and the dude whose child it really is a cat he already had beef with, you asking for my man to kill everybody. Not that I was worried about, because I'm not really scared of him, because he was always scared of me. But anyway.
So ladies, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't be messy, because it's messy right
No,
here.
but that's what I'm saying is, I know you didn't know. And so for me, when I reached out to you and I weren't talking, but I sent you the message on Facebook to say to you, thank you. Because at least now I knew she knew. Then I reached out to her, because I went to the store, and I was in the store, and I was about to walk up to her and say, you know what?
Jonathan, if you watch it, you hear this?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. I was in the store, and I was going to go and say something, because I was like, okay, well, Kierra already put it on the table. So where I was standing, I seen her at the register, and then something said, no, not like that.
Bro.
Don't do it like that. What? So I left. I'm saying, I'm being honest with you. And then I went home and I had a conversation with Grandma Tina. Grandma Tina said, leave it alone, because you already know they're not ready. We're ready. And her grandmother, who I knew, passed. Then Grandma Chrissy passed. And that's what had got me upset, because I'm like, this lie is not allowing her to meet y'all.
Yeah.
She's already struggling with a dad who is already acting up, because they were on their way to divorce because he wasn't being good as a dad. And like Tiff always said, there's no way that he can't look at his other 2 boys and look at his daughter and not realize something.
And realize that she don't look nothing like whoever.
So what I did was, so then when I reached out to her a couple times on Facebook, she never responded. And I know she was on Facebook. The mother called me. She said she got your messages. She doesn't want to have anything to do with you. But here's the problem. That's from the mom. who has the biggest advantage of the lie.
Miss, stop playing and let my sister meet us, okay?
So
If you watching this
unfortunately,
live, stop playing.
yeah, unfortunately, there was nothing I could do. But my hope has always been that somebody will be like, all right, look, I'm gonna tell the truth. And then when she comes, just be ready. Like I came with my father. So I just wanted to say to you, and I'll say it to you publicly, thank you for saying something, because at least now she goes, because when you showed her the picture, now she didn't tell you, there's no way she looks at that picture and not know who I am. And that's the guy that we've seen you stop and talk to in the street. We've seen you pull your car over, get out and come and talk to me. And I say, hey, kids, I talk to them. I have spoken to them. They just know me as mom's friend. So my whole thing is, I would say, when are you going to say something? When are you going to tell the truth? And the reason why is because I'm already dealing with this with the other mothers. So when I tell you it was messy on my end, now you understand what I'm saying is, so how long does it take for a person to learn? This is what you got to, your father was messy.
Honey, I am glad that you is safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am glad. I'm those holy water I just came from this. I am glad that you is safe, child.
Start burning your sage. Yo, Jonathan, get the sage.
Where you at, right? I should have came prepared, because this woo. I'm gonna put that holy oil on my forehead tonight.
Listen, John's like, let me burn some of these spirits before I get on this call. John broke out the sage last night. I was not mad at that. But listen, darling, Kierra, listen, I want to end with this. I want to say, one, thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for blessing me with these 2 hours. I'm gonna address everybody watching, and then I want you to end with something, and then I'll close it out. Hey guys, listen. First of all, thank you for hanging in there with us for these 2 hours. We wanted you to be able to sit in and listen to us talk. As I said to you before, my lovely daughter and I did not script this. We had no idea. We had some ideas of what we could talk about. We wasn't sure what we were actually going to talk about. So you got a chance to sit in on the longest conversation that we have had in quite some time. And I'm actually so blessed that I've had a chance to speak to her this way. And I'm so glad that I did ask her, because I was so happy when she said yes, because I was hoping that it would give us an opportunity to really share some things that we haven't shared. To all of the brothers, Jonathan, Anthony, Elijah, Justin, thank you. Thank you for being there for her. Thank you for being there for each other. Thank you for just being you. And everybody watching, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, I'm going to come on with the little one. She's been driving me crazy, but she only going to get a half an hour, because Lord knows what she's going to talk about. By all means, tune in just to say hi, because she'll love the conversation. But I'm going to let my daughter close out and say something before I say goodnight. And again, I want to say publicly, Kierra, I love you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And yes, thank God I am saved. And we don't get to change our memories, but we get to change our life. I'm not that man anymore. I'm not that man that you did hate. And it's okay to say hate is a strong word. I was a nasty dude. Hate is a wonderful thing when then that's all you have. You know why? Because there's no reason to hate now. Now is where we try to fix it. And so I'm here for it. So I want you to go ahead and let folks know whatever you want to know. Also, you need to give them all your business information before we close out, because I want to give them reason to support you. Because if you ain't got reason to support her now, if you don't purchase a product now, I'm just saying, all right? And anybody that has watched this, if there's something came about and you need somebody to talk to, reach out. This is what I do. This is what I do every day. I try to help other people get to this point where I'm at, where they can have this conversation with their child, their husband, their wife, their baby mama, their baby daddy, whatever that is. This is what I'm here for. But I had to show you what it looked like in my life first. So you know, when I ask you to bring me your pain, it is because I've known how to deal with mine. So first, I want my wonderful daughter to reintroduce herself. I want you to run down your business, the websites, everything, because you gave me some significant, specific way I was supposed to say it. I'm like, I'm going to let her say it. And then I want you to leave them with some type of word before we say goodnight. Floor is all yours, darling.
Alrighty, guys. So thank you for tuning in. This was a wild ride, but definitely most needed. I just want to get you guys, I am a beauty consultant. I am here to help you through your hair care journey, skincare journey, and wellness journey. You can follow me on my Instagram. I have a link tree there. Basically, my products are really to help you be the best you, help you have the best hair, the best skin, and the best body. It's not going to grow abs overnight. It's not going to grow your hair in a day, but it is an amazing process with vegan. I'll give you product details. If you want to talk more like one-on-one, as I said, I am a consultant. So I do sit down one-on-one with you to have conversations about what you need and what your hair care needs and skincare needs are. You can email me, kcmb77@gmail.com, to just kind of like let me know. There's also on my Instagram, there is 2 hair quizzes. It's one for hair and one for skin, because I have to get to know what you need so I can help you fix what your problems are. And yeah, if you want to just stop by, shout some love, check out my Instagram for content, especially with deals and savings on my products. And that's it. And what I will say before we close it out, I just want the single moms to know, just people in general, be good to people and try your best to be as transparent as you can, because transparency is what is really going to make this world better. And have some sensitivity, because you really don't know what other people are going through. Be a listening ear, because somebody could be telling you something without telling you something. So kind of just be kind and build relationships. Like, you're not going to fall in love with everybody. You're not going to get along with everybody. But if you're able to be cordial and be able to share a commonality, go for it, because that's how it is in this world. Everything is changing super quick. So right now, in my mind, I feel like what God's message is family, and protecting your family with also protecting yourself and protecting your spirit, and making sure that you're focused on your goals and the betterment of the future. Like, obviously things could change, but just making sure that you're taking the steps in the right direction. And that's all I really have to.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, darling. And guys, all I can say is that I am happy that I did this, and we're going to bring this to a close tomorrow for half an hour. Join us at 8 o'clock, because she got school Monday, but tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be on with the little one. I'm asking our brothers and sisters, if y'all are around, come into the Zoom room just to say what's up for a little while. I know everybody got things they got to do on Sunday. But if you can, pop in for a little while just to say hi, because the one thing I want everybody watching to understand, no, you can't fix it overnight, but you can say, I'm sorry, and start by opening up your hand and saying, okay, I screwed up. Own it. Men and women, whoever, because we live in a society that we're not worried about how people get together. What we're trying to do is keep people together. Don't be scared to say I screwed up. Don't be scared to say I didn't know. And don't be scared to say I'm sorry. Don't be scared to say, yes, I could have been something different, but now you're still drawing life. So now you can be something different. I knew when I asked my kids to do this, they all could have said no. But instead, they all said yes. And you got a chance to see what they became, and many, as you see tonight, without much help from me. But as you also heard tonight, there's a little bit of me in all of them. And that means that God is working on them like he's working on me. And so, yes, I am who I am now. And I would love to have been this boy, this man years ago, but I'm not, and I'm here now. So I'm here now, and I'm going to give it all I got now. And we go from here. So I don't know who needed to hear this tonight. I don't know who needed to watch this tonight, but if you know somebody that needs to see this, share this with them. You should have liked it already. And you should share this with them and save this right here. Because you got to watch a daughter basically tell her father, you wasn't, right? Yeah, I know. Right. Because some daughter right now, with a daughter, with a son, with multiple kids, needs to understand that their pain is real and legitimate, but there's a possible fix, even if the fix is not right now. I want to say thank you for joining. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, author, crisis specialist, author, and educator. This has been the Old Head versus Young Head series, day 5. We close it out tomorrow with the littlest of the crew. And we're going to pray for number 5. And we're going to pray that somebody gets to her and say, hey, forget all that was said to you. A lot of lies was told to you. As you see, lies seem to surround me. But now there's a whole lot of truth and a whole lot of love waiting on you as well. So if you happen to see this, or somebody happens to know who number 5 is, and it really don't take that hard to guess. I mean, you should have figured it out by now. But if you do, reach out to her and say, your father's waiting on you. Your sister's waiting on you. You got brothers that's waiting on you. And you got family members that would love to have you. All you got to do is let us in. We're here. Have a wonderful night, guys. I appreciate you. It has been a blessing to be here. I wish you all the best. Kierra, I love you. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon, darling.